You're listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner.
Hey guys, it's Zoom the TBT, and we have the JMU Founding Fathers Night. Very excited about that. Head coach and GM Kevin Albright and star power forward Alonzo Sule. Gentlemen, how you doing?
Good.
Doing excellent. Thanks for having us on.
Hey, thanks for coming on. Besides, it's always a pleasure to speak to one of the host teams. And speaking of host teams, what cracks me up about this is you originally weren't one of the host teams. You were originally one of the teams that was going to be a favored entry, but not a host team. So how did it come to JMU from UVA?
Yeah, so truth be told, me and Joseph, the GM of the Founding Fathers, we were talking. We participated in TBT a few years back, had a great experience, for us and for the team and for the university. And we heard that this year it was going to be in Charlottesville. So right in the backyard of JMU, not far away. So we were ready to go. We were like, it's right here, fans to pull from. So we started talking maybe to some people about building a roster. Super excited for it to be in Charlottesville. Some things kind of fell through the cracks. I don't know all of the details. I do know that, UVA no longer has a team in. So them being the host, I think TBT was looking to audible, so Joe had some conversations with some contacts that he knew. And the audible was moving it to the AUBC, which is a gorgeous new arena on JMU's campus. And we fell into it as being the host team. So not only were we excited when it was in Charlottesville, but now we're to the moon that it's in Harrisonburg. So we're excited to get back in front of the fans, to get back in town, and have some recent grads competing in TBT for JMU and the Founding Fathers.
You said something really interesting right there. I didn't know this because, again, I would like to tell people this is a well-oiled machine and we do research and we'll prepare. But people who listen to the show know I'm an absolute bozo, and the research is a quick session to get us laughing what a moron I am before we start taping. So this is all hitting me new. I'm noticing. So you guys are playing at the main stadium. You're playing at the Atlantic Union Bank Center.
Oh, yeah.
That's a beautiful place. Plus, it's a perfect size for a good team. 8,500 people. If you pack that place full of JMU fans, that'll be an electric crowd for TBT. Alonzo, how lucky is TBT to have a fan base like JMU step up when UVA couldn't hold the ball?
Yeah, it's awesome. Hearing it's gonna be at the AUBC and having our fans behind our back, getting that energy. I really feel like that's gonna propel us and help us definitely along the way. So it's awesome hearing that, and it just happened. UVA couldn't do it. We had to step up, so that's no problem.
Not the first time my life UVA's let me down. Minor story. We won't spend too much time on here, but people who listen to the show know I'm a WashU St. Louis alum, which is a D3 school. But my first choice of school was actually originally the University of Virginia. I went to high school in Virginia Beach for 3 years, and my pop's military, so we moved. And I learned something about military families is they don't honor in-state if you move your senior year, which was news to me. So like, yeah, you can come, but you can pay full out-of-state freight. I'm like, I just moved 6 months ago, then we don't care. And I'm like, well, then I don't care. So that went from me loving the UVA to be being a little bit of whatever. So that when they lost the team, I was like, oh, that's too damn bad, honestly. I was like, I didn't really care too much, to be honest with you. Okay, so enough of my bitterness. I actually like UVA. They're a fine school. So you guys got the region. You guys got a great fan base. Let's talk a little bit about the history of JMU basketball, because we were talking about this off camera. JMU has a very strong tradition, a few tournament wins in the 80s, and then wasn't quite the powerhouse they had been previously. And now in the changing dynamics of college basketball, college sports, they're now a Sun Belt team. And a couple of years ago, they made that big run, getting that huge win against Wisconsin in the Barclays Center. I was there for the Duke game. It was an electric atmosphere. So it was right down the road from this apartment, right down the road, right in Brooklyn. Is this a golden age of JMU athletics?
They're certainly putting Harrisonburg on the map. We've been a force to reckon with the last couple of years. When I was there in 2013, we scratched the surface of the NCAA tournament, got a first four win. But they're a powerhouse now, right? They're always considered a mid-major, but no one wants to play JMU right now. Coach Byington did a great job, had a lot of success, and now Coach Spradlin is doing just as good a job, and again, like I said, teams don't want to come play JMU, especially in the AUBC. So we're hoping we can use some of that, energy and some of that success of the recent teams and roll it into TBT with some of our young guys.
So Alonzo, building on that, obviously, 'cause you had something to say about that too. Obviously, as a player who played for those colors, I assume you're enjoying this little run that the school is making. But also, has it helped your professional career? Has it made them put more respect on your experience? Like, oh, JMU, I know what they're about, as opposed to maybe in previous years they may not have been as knowledgeable about the Dukes.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Now, because it's not even just basketball, like all the other sports too. I feel like JMU have really, shown what they've been about and shown that, you can't mess around with them. Like you can see with football, softball, I can go on and on. So as a school, they definitely have that reputation, that good reputation. So you can see that, talking to some of these, professional teams, and they're like, "Oh, James Madison, yeah, how was that experience? How was that like?" Because they're intrigued to see what that atmosphere of all that winning's about. So, yeah.
It's kind of crazy too. How many great programs have come out of the former Colonial? Now I think it's the Coastal. I mean, I think there's some other great schools there. I believe BCU was there at one point. It used to be the CAA. So yeah, you had a bunch of other really good schools there making runs. So that seems to be a hotbed of developing just great hoop squads in the last like 10 years, like them kind of graduating to different conferences and different leagues. Talking a little bit about this. So I want to get into though the idea of like how you're building your team. Because one thing people don't understand about the alumni teams is every alumni team, and this is true, to the best of their ability tries to keep it real, tries to keep 60 to 70% of their players from the school. But it's very tough if you're fishing in these waters to get quality players, the 8 to 9 to 11 guys you need to make a quality TBT team, all from one school. Guys get busy, guys have kids. You just have Kevin himself, by the way, just told me off camera, you just had a child. So I mean that's your second one, right?
Second one, yep.
Man, I never had kids, and one day I'm pretty sure I'm gonna regret that one day, but I haven't yet. So yeah, actually, I better not say yet. My girlfriend's my age; she'll probably shoot me. She'll be like, "Yeah, we're too old," and start slapping me. No, but so I mean, always finding those 11 guys, finding the 11 guys who play for school can be difficult. But you guys' roster is pretty much everybody's from GMU. So are you able to keep that either mostly or completely GMU guys all the way through the recruiting process?
That's the goal, right? We're here to represent the university. And I think it kind of ties into the last question you asked about the recent success. So the JMU teams have been super strong in the last couple of years. So we're able to get guys like Alonzo and some recent grads who have, had these great couple years in pro careers, but they can still go at a high level. These guys that have recently graduated in the last couple of years, they really, really have become pros, so they're pros in the space overseas. And, we got a lot more guys to pick from than we have in previous years because of how strong the recent teams have been.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's been pretty wild because like the quality of play has gotten really, really, really high. So being able to recruit from that's really great. Now, Alonzo, there's a lot of pride, obviously, in playing for this team, coming back. How excited are you to sort of step back on campus, step back and see your people, your fans root for you again on your home
Oh,
court? How special is that going to be?
yeah, it's going to be very special, just walking around the campus again, walking around the gym, seeing where just a few years ago it was all that. So it's going to be, it's going to be special just being there in that atmosphere again for sure. And I'm pumped up. I'm ready to go. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, how has playing in TBT helped your professional career, Alonzo? Because I know that, for example, now you told me you played in Israel this last season. You're looking at some other teams. Maybe you go back, maybe you don't. But like, how has TBT helped you network or develop your game coming back home as an overseas professional?
Well, I mean, it just gives you some exposure, right? So it's nationally, it's on TV. It's everywhere. And I always had this mindset when I've been younger, but it's like you don't know who's watching. So TBT really puts us out there. I feel like, socially too, on social media as well. So whatever you do, you never know who's going to be watching, what coach is going to be looking at you, and then you could just something can happen after that. So yeah, it definitely helps. Anything you do when you plan for this tournament. So.
Always assume someone's watching no matter what you're doing. I got my very first job. I'm self-employed now. I've been in studio for 12 years. My very first job, I had literally got at a coffee stand, a little bagel place in New York, like literally a
Yeah.
truck. I was talking. He goes, "Oh, what are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm an architect." He goes, "I have a house." I'm like, "I'm an architect." He asked my card. I gave it to him. That was my first ever client. I got just being friendly at a coffee stand. You never know where your opportunities come from. Now, Kevin, JMU is a developing brand. The founding fathers have been a developing brand, and you guys have actually had some interesting things. Like, um, I believe this was your very first game when you guys played Silent Cancer in Charleston. That was your first run, right?
Yep.
The Marcus Keene "I'm That Guy" game, which is a ridiculous. Watching him go nuts. No offense to you guys were awesome, but watching him just go nuclear. You guys had him pretty close the whole game, and then he had decided he had had enough, like late in the game, which is funny because he barely even showed up for that game. But you guys had
Right.
AJ Tavis pick up the tip. He had lost his legs. He was a player for you guys. You had Kamala Smiles play, who was obviously a very good female player. So you guys have had some sort of interesting players that have like not molded into the typical thing. So like how have you been able to show some shine to other parts of your program in those moves?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to divulge too much. We'll keep a couple tricks up our sleeves, but we have had conversations with many of the people from the from the previous rosters, including AJ. So great energy. JMU is a special place. I have some bias, but the teams, the organizations, it's a pretty tight knit group. So we've talked to some of those people. We like to represent. We like to give everyone the platform, that maybe we didn't have as a mid-major, back in the day. So we've had some conversations with those people. Kamaya's still playing overseas. She's a true professional and she can really play ball. So yeah, stay tuned. Like I said, I won't divulge too much, but we still have some roster additions to make, and we might get a little creative as well again.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see people get to shine that you wouldn't necessarily expect. Now, Alonzo, we're talking about the development of college basketball as an industry. Anybody
Mm.
knows this show knows I'm a huge Memphis fan. And now there's these Pac-12 rumors, which I don't know what to do about that. That's my own problem, not yours at all, obviously. But like the NIL thing with the settlement they just had, where schools can directly pay players. Were you just born a little too early? Is that how that? Do you? I mean, do you wish
Yeah,
the money had come over the table and not the wink wink shoebox stuff that players like you,
man,
not saying you, but like you got?
man, it's look, all I'm happy it's finally happened. I can say that I'm really happy it's because it's been a long time coming. I'll say that, but I heard we might still get a little something. Might not be.
Back wages? Back
Yeah,
wages?
might not be what it could have been, but at least it's a little something. So I'm grateful for that. But I'm just happy for the future. And at least this is huge, though. This is huge, for college sports. And all these guys working every day. So I'm super excited for them. It's awesome hearing that. So yeah.
Well, it's wild because that's something I've never understood is like people talking about like guys shouldn't get paid because they're playing for the jersey. And by the way, like I understand the concept of playing for the jersey. Like, that part makes sense. But being paid doesn't lessen that. And the thing is, like when the sports were truly amateur, when the TV deals were more minor, yeah, you get a scholarship. That's fair
Yeah.
value. But
Yeah.
when you're paying
Exactly.
John Calipari $10 million and you're paying the players in gear,
Yeah.
like what are we
Yeah.
doing here? Like
Yeah.
what is
Yeah.
going on?
Yeah.
Kevin,
Yeah. Yeah.
do you wish you had had the NIL money too?
It would have been a difference, that's for sure. So I appreciated my time in college athletics. The landscape is different, so you got to change your mindset, right? It's become more of this professional game, especially the transfer portal more than the NIL stuff. Has completely changed the landscape of the game and developing cultures and guys and stuff like that. Because there's always that fear that they're going to leave and shop around and go somewhere else. So it's a different landscape. I don't wish my time any different when I was there, but I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, it's funny because like I'm a huge college basketball fan. That's how I got into TBT. My erstwhile partner, he's a big G League guy. That's what he watches. I came through college athletics. Memphis had a team. I'm like, ooh, this is cool, and that's how I got involved. But it's funny because like every year, and I still love watching my Tigers. I still love watching all college basketball because college basketball still is incredible. But I don't follow recruiting high schoolers anymore. And I also don't at all follow like the roster until the school year starts because like it's a new 13 guys or 15 guys every year. And I'm like,
Wow.
okay, we're just gonna see who shows up. Like I have no idea. I mean, this is the second straight year Memphis had someone transfer back. So I mean, Alonzo, you did all your years at JMU, right? All four?
No, I actually was at Texas. Yeah, I was at Texas State before I went to JMU my last two
Okay.
years. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So you did two schools too, yeah. But I mean, you didn't transfer every year though.
No, not every year. Ooh, no.
That sounds crazy. I mean, I understand like the getting the money part. I'm totally fine with it, and people should be paid. But I can't imagine transferring every year.
Nah,
I mean, it
nah,
just
nah.
sounds wild. I mean, I was in the military family. My pop was. We moved almost every year, and I didn't enjoy that much. So I can't imagine that's something I would enjoy as a college athlete. Okay, enough. No one cares about my thoughts.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the region. Let's talk about the region. That'll be fun. Well, actually, before we get to the region, I also want to mention. So one thing I like to ask the GM specifically is there has been a slight TBT difference. TBT is a wonderful event. We all love it. This isn't a critical thing, but they have changed their financial structure the last couple of years. People listen to the show know it's 0 and 2 years ago, 10 grand in last year. Now it's up to 15 grand. Now, without divulging, how all that worked, how hard was getting the money together this year, Kevin? And please feel free to show love to who you can show love to.
Yeah, TBT's changed every year. So me and Joe have worked on this together, kind of dating back 10 years, to be completely honest. And the first few years was on fan votes, and we were, trying to push on social media and things like that. So we, we didn't get in a few years. One year I think Kansas State got over us because they probably thought they had a little bit more of a fan base, and then we finally got in 21. While we didn't win, we played sideline cancer pretty tough. And I think we earned some respect, and then we came back in year 2 and played Heard That, who's another staple in TBT, and played them tough. So like I said, TBT has changed every year. Um, in between our run in 22 and now, we had some tough time getting some funding, which is why we've kind of taken, a little bit of a leave of absence here. And then this year, we've got the support of Cliff Wood, who's been with us the whole way. I can't thank Cliff enough. He's been awesome. He's been integral in the founding fathers existing. And then, a couple of other people have been super helpful. Jake Coons has been awesome this year. So we got a couple key players that really allowed us to compete this year. And yeah, it's a challenge because it's a different conversation you're having with them. But again, I can't thank those guys enough. They make it possible. And we're hoping to be able to put together a roster and play in front of the home fans and make those guys proud, make the university proud, and make it all well worth it.
Yeah, it's funny because I just accidentally muted Alonzo, so we'll come back to him in a second because I pushed. He had some reverb, but I muted him. So yeah, I got to show the sponsors a little bit of love. I see Alonzo's pretty face, but I can't hear him now. So unmute yourself when you have a second, Alonzo. Sorry about that. No, but it's interesting. So talking about this region, I'll get Alonzo back. Sorry, guys, I screwed that up a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about this region. We talked about the finances, the JMU Renaissance. Let's get down to brass tacks of TBT 2025. And you guys have a surprisingly loaded region. It's a bit messy. Next year, Elite's going to be a guest of ours very soon. That's Rob Holloway's team. A lot of tough Philly guys, a lot of guys who really can go. Happy Valley Hoopers went deep last year, went to the Final Eight. Same for Red Rose Thunder, came out of nowhere, went to the Final Eight. Raleigh 911's been a guest. They look decent. And Shell Shock's got a pretty loaded team. So it might get what it lacks for in star power. It completely has competitive basketball. So Alonzo, like, how compelling of a region will this be for fans, you think?
I think it will be very compelling. It's going to be some good, intense basketball. Dudes are going to be hungry. I think playing at the AUBC is going to be really nice. So I'm going to add to that. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. It's going to be really fun. So I think the fans should be excited.
Definitely. The fans should always be excited in TBT because it's a great chance to watch your former players come. And basically, it's a basketball festival for the hardcore fan. Everybody should come. Kevin, you got a stud power forward like Alonzo. You got some really good guards. How do you see this team style of play? Like, what are you guys going to do on the court?
We're going to get up and down. We're going to play fast. JMU is used to being, kind of high paced, but we got a loaded roster of professionals, guys that can really go. They know how to play the game. They're cerebral. The biggest thing that I've heard, because I didn't have the pleasure of coaching any of these guys. So when talking to my contacts, the biggest thing I've heard is that we have a huge group of high character guys, which is just, music to my ears. So I think the ball is going to fly around the court. I think we're going to be unselfish. I think the next pass is going to be made. So I think it's going to be an exciting brand of basketball. And the region's strong. We're not going to deny that, but we're going to focus on what we do. We got the fans behind us, and we're going to get after it. You're going to see Zoe above the rim. You're going to see a lot of fireworks coming out of the AUBC.
So I will ask this question because, and TBT
Yes,
is a
sir.
weird thing because this is always a strange thing with the regions and stuff. Because again, we're taping this on the 16th of June, which means the rosters are still congealing a bit. You probably have a few backhole cards that have already committed but are not on the website. I'm not going to ask for that, but I do see 7 extremely good players. But I do see a lack of size. I see 5'9", 5'10", 6'3", 6'3", 6 feet, and of course Alonzo and Elijah at 6'7", 6'11". So like, is there a little more size in the way, or are you going to make Alonzo play 40 minutes?
If he's ready to go 40, I'll give him that nod and he can go 40. I have no
Yes,
doubt
sir.
that he's going to be ready to go for us. But yeah, we got some more size, some people that we're talking to, but you've seen more TBT games than anybody. You roll the ball out, you're competing for $1 million. So that size isn't going to be a hindrance to us. We're ready to go. We got some guys that are ready to compete.
Well, 2 things. Also, TBT games are only 36 minutes. So I should have corrected that. This is 9-minute quarters. People show. So it's only 36 minutes. So it's good for 36 minutes.
So that's good. Yeah.
And I've personally been told size doesn't matter. So I mean, it's more motion, ocean. Or I forgot what she said. Anyway, point being is obviously if you guys can go, the size will take care of itself. Okay, very, very, very cool. So Alonzo, thanks for coming on, guys. I'm gonna leave the last question with you. So we've covered all of it. We've covered your time in Israel. We've covered the NIL stuff. Covered style of play. JMU has an opportunity with TBT to put school. It's already in a bit of a renaissance, even further, bigger on the map in the basketball world of this event. It's one more step in an emerging brand. Make the pitch to the fans. Why do they need to come out, buy tickets, and help you get that second spot for the real quick, the home court goes to whoever sells more tickets. We only have 1 still. Louisville's got it. 2 still up for grabs. Alonzo, sell these tickets. Can we get JMU the second spot in this home court?
I mean, it comes down to the JMU pride. Like we got that. I feel like the fans, we got that, and every year we come out support all our different teams out, and that's the reason for our success. So I mean, I'm just gonna tell the fans what they already know. Come out and support your guys, man, and do what we got to do so we can continue this era that we in right now, JMU. So I think they already know what we got to do. So.
Also, keep in mind you got Penn State fans and you got Virginia fans away. Kevin, should we just lock the doors? Can we geo lock the tickets?
That'd be nice. But I don't even think we need to do that. There's going to be plenty of purple in the arena.
Okay, well, let's get some more purple. Let's make this happen. All right. Head coach and GM Kevin Albright and power forward Alonzo Sule. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Appreciate you having us.
Thank you.
This has been Zoom the TBT, signing off.
Hope you enjoyed listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hater. Subscribe to YouTube, follow on Twitter, and give us your money.